Hey, it's John from Tinderbox Arts. I'm going to be doing valve check today on my 2012 RT, and I do have to take the Tupperware off, the plastic here. A lot of people think you don't, and in some cases you don't. But in my case, I have these, I'm not sure if they're BMW or aftermarket valve cover protectors on here, and in order to get to some of the bolts which are up in here, there's just no physical way to do it without taking the Tupperware off. I do also have these, protectors on these bars here, which I think I can leave on. That's not going to be an issue. So today I'm going to do the valve check, make sure the clearances are good, and while I'm at it, I'll replace the spark plugs as well. All right, just to show you with the Tupperware off, it's this bolt here, and another one down here. There's just no way to physically get to them to get this valve cover protector, or whatever the hell it is called, off without getting the Tupperware off first. So with that off, I'll get this cover off, then we can get at the head cover itself. All right, the covers are off. I just want to get underneath here to show you how this is all put together here. I'm trying not to get into my own light here. So here's the cover, which only has, a bolt here and a bolt here. Sorry, bolt here. And the spark plug on the primary spark plug here has a coil underneath here, and this is just a cover. And if you trace this down, this is hard to do on my back. Here's where the wires come in. Here is the secondary coil, and here is the other spark plug going up in here, okay? So, and boy, I really need to clean this. So I'm going to get this has to come out. There's a coil underneath, and I am also going to replace the spark plug, so I'm going to take this out as well. But for the valve check, all you really have to do is this right here. So I'm just going to pry this off with a screwdriver, and then we'll have the coil underneath. All right, to get this coil out, you don't have to use this special tool, but it's just a lot easier, and you don't risk buggering anything up. So the special tool, which is really not much, has, I'm trying to show this on camera, a little kind of an edge to this half moon area right here, and that edge slips into kind of a receiving area on the edge of this coil. So again, I'm trying to do this on camera, and the camera's sort of in my way, but you're going to take this and put it in here and just slide that on there, and that just gives you a little bit of grip. Now I got to get up here. I'm going to knock this camera over, I think. It gives you a little grip so you can wiggle this thing out. All right, you know what? I'm afraid of hitting the camera, so I'm going to take this out off camera. But basically, this gives you something to pull. All right, back on camera here. I just got it started, so I just was going to bump the camera, that's all. So basically, this little tool slips into these slots right here on the rubber. If I take the tool back off, you can see what we're dealing with here, okay? Okay, with all that cleared out, I got the coil out of the way. I took the bottom coil out too, which just pops off, just so I don't get oil or anything on it. And I do have a pan underneath here. There's a pan to catch a little residual oil. And we'll just loosen. Wow, they weren't tight at all. Getting these loose. They were really probably too loose. I did buy new gaskets because even though this has probably only been apart once, it's older, so I bought this bike used, so I don't really know what I'm going to find under here, but I'd rather just have the new gasket. They weren't, again, very expensive. Okay, and that should be enough. Now I'm going to just tap this. There, it just loosened. It's just a rubber mallet. There. Okay. Really didn't lose much oil at all. Alright, now I got oil all over my hands and I can't turn the camera off. But anyway, we're exposed now, so let me get myself cleaned up here. Next thing I want to do is align this at top dead center on the compression stroke. which I'll show you how to look for, and then we can check the clearances. All right, to say this is hard to film is an understatement, but I've tried to get you a shot here. So there's marks right here. These are the exhaust valves, and there's a straight line. I need something to point with here. Let me try this. There's a straight line right here at the end of that feeler gauge, and a straight line down here. And if those two lines are lined up, then you're at top dead center on the compression stroke, which is where you want to be. And to get there, it's easier if you remove the spark plugs so you don't have compression, obviously, but you can put the bike in gear and just turn the back wheel, which is what I did. Now, trying to do this. So this, what you need to do is stick your feeler gauge right in here, okay? And now this is way too loose, I know that. I'm just trying to do this as a demonstration. So if you're sticking this feeler gauge in here like this between the follower and the cam, then, and it's this loose, then you need to go to a thicker feeler gauge. And you just keep doing that until it gets to the point where, see if I can give you a demonstration. Trying to get a real another size here real quick. While I got this on camera, all right, here's a 30.30. So this should be too thick, and it is, so it doesn't go in. So you just keep doing that until you get a tight fit, but not so tight that, you know, it's trouble pulling in and out. Should be a slight, you know, you should feel it going in, but just a slight tug to it should pull it out. So that's too thick. So you keep doing that till you get your measurements. Now, these are the exhaust valves. The intake valves are on the other side. And what I came up with on this particular bike was, let's see, I got .30. I got .30 on, I'm sorry, .36 on the exhaust on top and bottom. So both these were .36 millimeter. And my intake, I had .22 on the top, which is getting near the limit, and I had .20 on the bottom. So, you know, I like to have it in the ideal range. On the intake, it's supposed to be .13 to .23 in that range. So I am in that range, but I'm at the upper limit of it. So I'll look at the other side. If the other side is wrong and I need to replace shims on that side, then I might do it on this side too, just to be in the middle of the range. If you, let me see if this is on camera. I'm not sure if it is or not, but if you need to replace these, basically, I'm trying to look at the same time. Is my finger in that shot? Barely. So let me do this another way. I'm gonna pull this over here. Okay, hopefully that's not too blurry. So there's a little E-clip right here, and if you pull that E-clip up, then this follower will come off, and inside the follower is a half, like a half sphere shim, and you can use a micrometer and measure that shim and pick a different one from BMW if you need to. So I'm going to look at my other side, see where I stand, and then I'll decide whether I want to get new shims or not. Okay, I have the other side off, and I've done the measurements there too. And if I bring it down here, let the camera catch up to me. So here's what I've got. The specs are intake exhaust 0.13 to 0.23 millimeter, exhaust 0.30 to 0.40 millimeters, okay? So what I actually measured on the left-hand side exhaust, I got 0.38 and 0.38, so I'm within specs, towards the high end, but within. And on the right side, 0.36, 0.36, again, towards the high side, but I'm within. And on the intake, I'm pretty close on one of these. Left-hand side, I got 0.20 and 0.21. Right hand 0.22 and 0.20. So that 0.22 is getting near the 0.23 high end, but you know, it's okay. I mean, it's within spec, and I don't have any others that are nearing that. So I think for now I'm just going to leave it. If you know, if one of these was way out, I'd probably try to get some of these others into the middle of the spec if I could. But for now, it's fine. So what I'll probably do is just in the future, I might check this a little more often than is you know, called for in the book. But for now, I'm fine. So bringing you back to the stuff all apart here. The only thing left I got to do now is this round gasket right here and this rubber gasket on, which is kind of stuck on there. I'm going to replace. You don't necessarily have to. I don't think this has been apart at all, maybe, but again, I bought it used, so I'm not entirely sure. But you know, just age alone and heat tends to dry out this rubber and it'll start leaking. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that. And they weren't that expensive. I think it was like $60 for all the gaskets and everything. So replace the gaskets, button this back up, replace the spark plugs while I'm here, do some cleaning, and then I'll be all done.